Rimuru Go Back in Time by Rimu-chi. Falmuth Kingdom and Rimuru's 3 options. Unknown Days Before Walpurgis. Third person POV. Near the border of the Kingdom of Falmouth, 2 carts rolled along the dirt road. The first cart carried Yume, the self-proclaimed champion of Tempest, and his comrade Grucius, a werewolf from Eurazania. The second cart was far more ominous. Inside sat Diablo, Rimuru's personal butler and one of the primordial demons, surrounded by the ruined bodies of Falmouth's once proud leaders, King Edmaris, the court mage Raisin, and Rimu-chi, a high-ranking member of the Western Holy Church. Diablo's POV. I glanced down at the broken forms of the humans before me, a tinge of amusement dancing across my face. Pathetic creatures, I mused aloud. To think you dared to defy Rimuru-sama, the being who stands above all creation. How amusing, and pitiful. Raisin's severed head rolled to the side as I picked it up casually, observing it with mild disgust before dropping it again. His broken body was barely functional, and fixing it would require precision. Sighing dramatically, I muttered, Era, what kind of monstrosity is she in? Truly, her methods defy logic. I examined the damage she inflicted, her unique skill rewriting the laws of nature to keep them alive while torturing them to the brink of insanity. I extended my hand, forming a glowing ball of pure energy. This will require extreme measures. I suppose I must indulge myself a little. I turned to the body of Rimu and began to work. The energy from my palm enveloped his shattered form, and I began rewriting the very essence of his being. It was not simply healing, it was a process far more delicate and profound. Raisin's POV. I could only watch, helpless, as the primordial demon worked. Every motion he made exuded power and elegance, and the very air around him seemed heavy with an otherworldly presence. This is Noir, I realized, the primordial black demon. One of the 7 great primordials. When that Rimuru summoned him, I thought it was a bluff, a mere boast. But now, I see the truth. This is no ordinary demon. I trembled as memories of our arrogance flashed before me. We had dismissed Rimuru, believing Tempest to be a mere upstart nation. We had made the gravest mistake in existence, challenging a being stronger than the creator of all things. Worse still, that Rimuru was only an avatar, a mere shadow of his true self. Rimuru was the being who summoned a primordial demon as if it were a trivial task, named him without hesitation, and in doing so, elevated Diablo to even greater power. Falmouth is doomed, I thought. Our nation has no future. My only chance of survival lies in serving this demon. Even as his lowest servant, it is better than annihilation. Summoning every ounce of strength, I forced my voice to work. Please, Lord. Diablo, plural. Ease, heal me, and the king. Diablo's POV. I paused, turning to face the groveling human. A sly smile curved my lips. Oh, my. Asking something of me is a dangerous thing. Are you certain you're prepared for the cost? His voice was weak but resolute. Yes. I know, please. Amusement flickered in my golden eyes. Very well. It seems we have an understanding. Let's discuss the terms after I finish curing you. For now, do try to endure. With a flick of my wrist, I summoned another ball of energy and directed it toward Raisin's mutilated form. The process took longer, nearly 30 minutes, but I enjoyed the challenge. By the time I was done, both Raisin and King Edmaris were restored to their former states, though they bore no semblance of their previous arrogance. Raisin's POV. As I sat up, fully healed, I could feel the overwhelming power of Diablo radiating from every pore. I was no longer simply afraid, I was utterly subjugated. Immediately, I fell to my knees, bowing deeply. Thank you, Lord Diablo, for your mercy. Diablo's POV. I waved him off, unimpressed. Good. Now, about our deal. My eyes gleamed with amusement as I leaned forward slightly. The 3 of you will become my servants. You will follow my orders and carry out whatever tasks I assign you. Do you understand? Raisin, the king, and Rimu exchanged nervous glances before bowing deeply. Yes, Lord Diablo. We swear to serve you. A satisfied smile spread across my face. Excellent. Now, do not disappoint me. As the cart continued on its way, I allowed myself a small chuckle. Everything was proceeding according to Rimuru-sama's will, and I, his loyal servant, would ensure that no obstacle remained in his path to absolute supremacy. Falmouth Kingdom Throne Room. The group arrived in the royal throne room through Diablo's teleportation magic. The grandeur of the room was tarnished by the tension that hung in the air. Diablo stood with his usual calm demeanor, A chilling smile etched on his face, while Raisin, Rimu-chi, and the unconscious King Edmaris were left to contemplate their roles in the unfolding plan. Now then, Diablo began, his tone deceptively light. Raisin, place the king, yes, that pitiful heap of flesh, on the throne. He gestured toward the ornate chair that symbolized authority in this doomed kingdom. Raisin quickly obeyed, carrying the boxed king and setting him upon the throne, the weight of his mistakes gnawing at him. Once the king was positioned, Diablo turned his golden gaze to the two men. You two will act as though you've regained consciousness when the nobles inevitably arrive. Ensure that your performances are convincing, or I won't accept failure. Both Raisin and Rimu-chi nodded, their faces pale with fear. And, Diablo added, his voice darkening slightly, make certain to extol Rimuru-sama's greatness. They must understand who now holds dominion over this pathetic kingdom. Rimu-chi stammered, and if the nobles disrespect Rimuru-sama. Diablo's smile widened, his aura becoming more oppressive. Unfortunately, we cannot punish them, yet. Rimuru-sama is a merciful ruler and doesn't enjoy needless conflict. He paused, his tone softening slightly but still carrying an undercurrent of menace. However, it is your duty to ensure they do not insult Rimuru-sama. Do not fail. Both men nodded, sweat forming on their brows. Rimu-chi spoke hesitantly, we will do our best to uphold Rimuru-sama's name. Raisin added firmly, we won't fail, Lord Diablo. Diablo gave a small nod of approval. Good. Then I leave this to you. With that, he vanished, his teleportation leaving an unsettling stillness in the room. As the two men stood in the throne room, waiting for the inevitable arrival of the nobles, they couldn't help but exchange a quiet conversation. That demon, he's terrifying, Rimu-chi muttered, his voice trembling. Raisin nodded, his expression grim. You have no idea. That's Diablo, Noir, one of the 7 primordial demons. I didn't believe it at first, but seeing him in action, there's no doubt. Rimu-chi's face paled further. A primordial demon, and he serves Rimuru-sama so willingly. What sort of being is Rimuru? Raisin hesitated before answering, his voice dropping to a whisper. Rimuru-sama is beyond anything we can comprehend. He's stronger than the creator of all existence according to what we saw and heard. And yet, what we see of him isn't even his true body, it's an avatar. Just a fraction of his power. Rimu-chi shuddered, clutching his robes. Diablo alone feels like an unstoppable force. If Rimuru-sama is even stronger, he trailed off, unable to finish the thought. It's not just strength, Raisin continued. It's the way Diablo speaks about him. His loyalty is absolute, and you can see it in every action he takes. Rimuru-sama doesn't just command respect, he inspires devotion from beings like Diablo. That's what's truly terrifying. Rimu-chi nodded slowly. Then we have no choice but to follow him. To defy him would be foolish, Raisin finished, his voice steady but laced with fear. The kingdom's fate is already sealed. All we can do now is survive and ensure we don't anger him, or Diablo, for that matter. The two fell silent, the weight of their situation pressing down on them as they awaited the arrival of the nobles. The large, ornate doors of the throne room creaked open, and the group of nobles entered with hurried steps. Their faces were filled with confusion and dread as their eyes scanned the room, eventually landing on the two unconscious figures lying on the ground, Rimu-chi and Raisin, exactly as Diablo had instructed. The nobles, uncertain of the situation, ignored the two unconscious figures and instead directed their attention to the king's lifeless body placed in the strange box-like object on the throne. Noble 1. Calgurio, or use appropriate noble from canon. What is this? What happened to the king? Calgurio's voice cracked with panic as he stared at the peculiar scene. Another noble stepped forward, his face pale. This is some kind of magical containment. We must do something to heal him immediately. Calgurio turned to a soldier standing guard near the door. You, quickly, bring the royal healers at once. The soldier saluted and sprinted out of the room without hesitation. As the nobles gathered around the king, their panic grew. Noble 2. What sort of spell is this? It doesn't look like anything I've ever seen before. Noble 3. It must have been the work of Tempest. That monster leader, he's sent his agents here to curse our king. Noble 4. Don't jump to conclusions. We don't even know if it was them. Perhaps Shogo and Rimu-chi can shed some light on this when they awaken. Noble 2. Yes, let's focus on the king for now. We'll interrogate them once they come to. The nobles murmured their agreement and formed a circle around the throne, waiting anxiously for the healers to arrive. The soldier returned with 5 healers and a dozen additional soldiers, all looking uneasy about the situation. The lead healer stepped forward and bowed respectfully before the gathered nobles. Healer 1, we have come as requested. What is the condition of His Majesty? Calgurio gestured to the throne, his expression grim. There he is. Do whatever it takes to save him. The 5 healers quickly moved to the throne, examining the king's lifeless body encased in the strange magical container. They began casting a series of high-level healing spells. Healer 1, Resurrection Heal. Nothing happened. Healer 2, High Recovery Magic. Still no response. Healer 3, Regeneration Miracle. The king's condition remained unchanged. Noble 3, what's taking so long? Why hasn't he woken up yet? Healer 4, please, give us more time. We're doing everything we can. The healers tried more advanced magic, pouring their mana into the spells, but the result was always the same. Healer 5, perhaps we can use alchemical potions. Bring the highest grade healing potions. The nobles immediately ordered the soldiers to fetch the potions, and soon enough, a variety of elixirs and potions were brought into the throne room. The healers carefully administered them one by one. Potion after potion was used, from standard healing potions to rare elixirs worth a fortune, but none had any effect. The king's body remained inert, sealed in its box-like prison. Healer 1, we've used every method at our disposal. Healer 2, this is beyond our abilities. There's nothing we can do. The lead healer turned to the nobles, bowing deeply. My deepest apologies, but we cannot restore His Majesty to health. This is not a simple injury or curse, it's something far beyond our understanding. Calgurio's face turned red with anger as he slammed his fist against the armrest of the king's throne. What do you mean you can't heal him? Are you saying there's no hope? Healer 1, forgive me, my lord, but we. Calgurio roared, pointing at the door. Enough. Get out of my sight, all of you. Useless fools. The healers bowed and retreated from the room, their heads low in shame and fear, as the nobles stood in stunned silence, contemplating their next move. As the nobles continued their frantic discussion, a heated argument broke out among them. Noble 1, if the king doesn't wake soon, this kingdom will descend into chaos. We must act now. Noble 2, and do what exactly? We can't even figure out what happened to him. Noble 3, this has to be the work of Rimuru Tempest. That monster and his subordinates are behind this. Noble 4 interrupting, don't be ridiculous. How could Tempest accomplish something like this without us knowing? Unless, could it really have been the storm dragon? At that moment, a noble noticed movement from Raisin and Rihimath. Noble 5. Wait, look. Rihimath and Shogo are waking up. The attention of the room shifted to Raisin and Rihimath as they groaned, acting as if they were regaining consciousness. Raisin stood up first, his calm and authoritative demeanor silencing the nobles' chatter. Raisin, calm down, everyone. First of all, I am not Shogo. I am Raisin. I reincarnated myself into this body to survive. The room erupted into chaos. Noble 1. What? You mean to tell us you abandoned your own body to possess this delinquents? Noble 2. How dare you? That's an insult to the kingdom. Noble 3. What kind of madness is this, Raisin? Do you even realize what you've done? Noble 4 calming the others, enough. Let him explain himself. Let's hear what he has to say. Raisin nodded in appreciation before continuing. Raisin, thank you. Now, allow me to explain. What happened to His Majesty is the result of our grave mistake. We incurred the wrath of the storm dragon, Veldora. The nobles gasped in shock, their eyes widening in disbelief. Noble 1. The storm dragon. I thought that was just a false rumor. How could this be possible? Raisin. I thought the same at first. But it's true. While Rimuru Tempest was away, we attacked Tempest. Unfortunately, Veldora was angered by our foolish actions. He went on a rampage, destroying our entire army. Noble 2. If Veldora was truly enraged, why didn't we hear of it? Why didn't he destroy everything in sight? Raisin. Because Veldora was defeated. A stunned silence fell over the room. Noble 3. Defeated. By whom? Rihimath stepped forward. Rihimath. I can answer that question. When Veldora rampaged, the so-called champion, Yume, and his companion, Grucius, arrived to rescue us. Noble 1. You're telling us that Yume, the self-proclaimed champion, defeated Veldora, the storm dragon. Preposterous. Raisin raised a hand to stop the argument. Raisin, listen to him first. Let him finish. Rihimath, Yume attacked Veldora, managing only to scratch his leg. But to Veldora, it was nothing. He swatted them away like flies. The nobles' expressions grew even more disbelieving. Noble 4, are you saying this Yume managed to scratch the storm dragon, whose body is known to be impervious to almost anything? Both Raisin and Rihimath nodded. Raisin, indeed. And according to Yume himself, he was trained by Rimuru Tempest. Another wave of shock rippled through the room. Rihimath, but even Yume and his companions were no match for Veldora. As Veldora prepared to kill them, a majestic figure appeared, deflecting Veldora's attack with ease. The nobles leaned in, intrigued. Noble 3. Who was it? Rihimath, a godlike entity with long blue hair, golden eyes, and an androgynous appearance. His beauty was beyond anything we had ever seen. That person was none other than Rimuru Tempest himself. The room fell silent, the nobles struggling to process the revelation. Rihimath, Rimuru attempted to talk to Veldora, but the dragon was blinded by rage and attacked him. Without even trying, Rimuru completely defeated Veldora, humiliating him as if he were an unruly child. The nobles exchanged uneasy glances. Noble 1, how is that possible? Raisin, we saw it with our own eyes. It happened right in front of us. Rimuru Tempest is far beyond anything we can comprehend. The nobles began asking more questions, their voices growing louder. Before Raisin or Rihimath could respond, the large doors to the throne room suddenly burst open. Everyone turned toward the sound, their faces filled with apprehension. As the large doors of the throne room burst open, all eyes turned to the figures entering. At the forefront was Yume, walking confidently with Grucius at his side, and behind them stood Diablo, his presence exuding an aura of overwhelming authority. One of the nobles, his voice laced with disdain, asked, "Who are these people? What business do they have here?" Yume stepped forward, his posture firm. "I am Yume, the champion of Tempest, a friend and student of Rimuru Tempest." Grucius followed suit, bowing slightly. "And I am Grucius, Yume's friend and comrade. We've come as representatives of Tempest." Before the nobles could react, Raisin stepped forward. "Thank you both for coming. Your timing is impeccable." However, another noble scowled and demanded, "And what right do you have to step into the throne room uninvited? What is your purpose here?" Yume raised his hand to calm the growing tension. "I'm here to deliver a message from Rimuru Tempest. It concerns the safety and future of this kingdom." But his words only seemed to inflame the nobles further. One of them yelled, "Yume! How dare you act as if you have the authority to speak on behalf of this kingdom? You're nothing but a puppet of that Majin, Rimuru." Another noble joined in, his voice dripping with venom. "If not for that Majin, you'd be dead already. Don't think for a second you hold any power here." The atmosphere turned tense as Diablo's expression darkened, his smile fading into something far more sinister. His aura shifted, growing heavy and oppressive, causing the room to grow unnaturally cold. Raisin noticed it immediately and acted quickly. "Silence!" Raisin shouted, freezing the two offending nobles with a wave of his hand. Ice encased them, leaving their horrified faces visible. "You fools have no idea what you're talking about. If not for Sir Yume, none of us, not just us, but the entire kingdom, would be alive right now." The room fell silent, the weight of Raisin's words hanging over them. Another noble, visibly shaken, broke the silence. "Sir Yume, you mentioned a message from the leader of Tempest." Yume nodded and turned to Diablo. "Sir Diablo, if you would." Diablo stepped forward, his expression serene as his smile returned. "Before we discuss the message, let us first heal His Majesty." The soldiers in the room immediately stepped forward, pointing their weapons at Diablo. "Stand down, or we'll have no choice but to attack," one of them shouted. Diablo glanced at them, unbothered. With a simple flick of his wrist, the soldiers' weapons shattered into pieces, leaving them stunned and defenseless. "There's no need for alarm," Diablo said with a calm, chilling smile. "I mean no harm. I'm merely here to help." One of the nobles scoffed, shaking his head. "Heal the king? Impossible. We've tried everything. No magic, potion, or healer in this kingdom can." Ignoring the noble's protest, Diablo walked to the king, pulling out a small vial filled with a shimmering liquid, the full potion, created by Rimuru himself. He poured the potion over the king's body. A radiant blue light enveloped the king, illuminating the entire room. The onlookers watched in stunned silence as the light faded, revealing the king completely healed, as though nothing had ever happened to him. Gasps echoed through the throne room. What just happened? One noble stammered. How did you heal him? Diablo turned to them, his voice calm and proud. This is a full potion, a miraculous creation from Tempest. It was crafted by none other than my master, Rimu Tempest. The nobles exchanged incredulous looks. A potion created by that Majin. One noble asked, disbelief clear in his voice. Indeed, Diablo replied, his tone sharp as he emphasized Rimuru's name with reverence. This potion is capable of healing even the most grievous of injuries, restoring the body to perfect condition. It is a testament to my master's unmatched knowledge and power. The nobles were left speechless, the weight of Rimuru's influence and abilities becoming ever clearer to them. The king stirred, sitting up and looking around in confusion, his wounds and fatigue completely gone. Diablo smiled. Now that his majesty has been restored, let us move on to the message from Rimuru-sama. The throne room remained silent, all eyes on Diablo, who stood as an unwavering symbol of Tempest's power and benevolence. The room was tense, the silence only broken by the faint shuffling of uneasy nobles. Diablo turned to the king, his voice smooth and unwavering. Your Majesty, with your permission, may I now deliver my master's message? The king, now fully recovered and perhaps humbled by his miraculous healing, nodded solemnly. You may speak, messenger of Tempest. The nobles were visibly stunned. Their once prideful and greedy king, who had previously opposed Tempest's existence, was now openly acknowledging Rimuru and his emissary. The whispers among the nobles grew louder. He accepted Tempest as a nation. Unbelievable, has he changed his stance entirely? Diablo smirked slightly, relishing the reaction before raising his hand. In an instant, a scroll materialized in his palm. Very well, then. Allow me to formally introduce myself and deliver my master's message. He paused, his golden eyes scanning the room, and began with a bow. I am Diablo, butler and devoted servant of my master, Rimu Tempest. My master allowed me the honor of speaking on his behalf, so I shall first properly introduce myself. Some of the nobles leaned forward in curiosity, while others whispered among themselves in suspicion. Diablo. Is that his real name? What's with this ominous presence around him? Diablo's smile widened, his tone growing sharper. You may also know me by another title. I am the Primordial Black, also called Noir. One of the 7 primordial demons that exist at the pinnacle of Demonkind. The declaration sent shockwaves through the room. One noble stood abruptly, his face red with disbelief. Don't lie. Such a thing is impossible. Before he could finish, the king raised his hand, cutting him off. Enough. What he says is true. The noble froze, stunned by the king's confirmation. The rest of the room fell into silence, their gazes shifting between the king and Diablo. Even the most skeptical among them dared not speak. Diablo continued, his voice echoing with authority. As I was saying, I serve my master, Rimu Tempest, with unwavering loyalty. And now, I shall deliver his message to you. With a flourish, he unrolled the scroll. The parchment seemed to glow faintly, emanating an aura of power that silenced even the faintest whispers. Diablo's voice grew deep and commanding as he read aloud. To the kingdom of Falmouth. You have dared to attack my nation while I was away, and in doing so, angered my elder brother, Beldora Tempest, the storm dragon. It was only through the intervention of human Grucius that you and your kingdom were spared. However, do not mistake my mercy for weakness. If anyone dares to antagonize, harm, or attack my nation or my people again, I shall respond decisively. Your entire kingdom will be destroyed without hesitation. Let this be a warning. However, despite your transgressions, I still believe peace to be the best option for your nations. Consider this carefully. Diablo paused, letting the weight of Rimuru's words sink into the room. The nobles exchanged nervous glances, clearly shaken. The king remained silent, his face pale but resolute. Diablo's voice rang through the hall with authority as he finished reading the scroll. The nobles sat in stunned silence, the weight of Rimuru's message bearing down on them. The atmosphere was tense, thick with fear and uncertainty. And now, Diablo said with a sly smile, I shall present the 3 options my master has given you. He raised 3 fingers and began. Option 1. Submit to the Tempest. This includes recognizing Tempest as a sovereign nation, became vassal state. A murmur rippled through the nobles, some nodding thoughtfully while others frowned, unwilling to relinquish their pride. Option 2. Paying preparations to us the Tempest. 100.000 Stella gold coins. The room grew even quieter as Diablo's golden eyes swept over the assembled nobles, his aura subtly flaring to emphasize the seriousness of the warning. Option 3. Diablo's voice dropped to an ominous tone, refuse both options. If you choose this path, understand that you will be declaring war against Tempest. My master's response will be swift and absolute, and your kingdom will be reduced to nothing but ash and ruins. The hall fell into a suffocating silence, the nobles too terrified to speak. Diablo lowered his hand and smiled, as though he had just given them a simple and pleasant choice. The decision, he added with a bow, is yours to make. But let me remind you, Tempest does not offer another chances. The air in the throne room was heavy with tension as Diablo's deep, smooth voice delivered Rimuru's ultimatum. He began to walk away, his footsteps echoing ominously against the stone floor. The nobles stared at his back, visibly trembling at the realization of their dire circumstances. Yet one voice, emboldened by a mix of desperation and curiosity, cut through the silence. Noble 1, a senior, inquisitive noble. Wait, I have a question. Diablo paused mid-step but didn't turn around. The noble hesitated, but the weight of his curiosity compelled him to speak. Noble 1. Why does Rimuru Tempest call Veldora the Storm Dragon his older brother? And why does Veldora use Tempest in his name? Diablo turned his head slightly, just enough for them to see his golden eyes gleam menacingly. His smile was calm but carried a hint of mockery. Diablo. Because my master, Rimuru-sama, is the younger brother of Veldora-sama, the Storm Dragon. And, Tempest, is the family name they share. The room fell silent, the nobles exchanging stunned glances. Their breaths quickened, trying to process the revelation. Another noble, bolder than the first, dared to ask the question on everyone's mind. Noble 2, a younger noble, panicked. You mean to say, your master is a true dragon? Diablo resumed walking, his voice carrying effortlessly across the room. Diablo. Yes, absolutely. My master, Rimuru-sama, is not just a true dragon, he is the youngest and strongest of them all. The nobles gasped audibly, their faces paling. A murmur of disbelief spread among them, but none could deny the conviction in Diablo's voice. As he approached the door, another noble, desperate to stall for time, called out. Noble 3, a frantic noble. Wait. One more thing. A week is not enough time. We need to gather the other nobles from across the kingdom. Please, give us more time. Diablo stopped abruptly, and the temperature in the room seemed to plummet. He released a fraction of his aura, a suffocating, dark energy that pressed down on everyone present. Several nobles dropped to their knees, gasping for breath. Diablo turned slowly, his expression no longer pleasant. Diablo, angrily. Whether a week is enough or not is not my problem, it is yours. You attacked Tempest, the paradise my master painstakingly built. And now you dare complain about the time you're given to face the consequences of your foolishness. His voice grew colder, each word like a dagger stabbing at their pride. Diablo. Let me make one thing abundantly clear, Rimuru-sama doesn't care about your kingdom. He offered this chance because he deemed your survival potentially useful to him in the future, as a tool, a plaything, or perhaps something even less significant. The room went deathly silent. The nobles were too terrified to respond, their hearts racing under the weight of Diablo's aura. The demon turned his piercing gaze toward Raisin and Rehymeth, both of whom nodded subtly, acknowledging his authority. He then glanced at Hume and Grucius, offering them a faint, reassuring smile before turning back to the door. Without another word, Diablo exited the throne room, his footsteps fading into the distance. The moment the doors closed behind him, the oppressive atmosphere lifted slightly, but the nobles remained frozen. Some sat in stunned silence, while others whispered frantically among themselves, panic evident in their voices. Noble 4, a fearful noble. A true dragon, I can't believe it. That slime, no, Rimuru Tempest, is a being on stronger than Veldora. What have we done? Noble 5, a prideful noble. This has to be some sort of bluff. A demon like him is surely exaggerating. Noble 6, a pragmatic noble. Bluff. Did you feel that aura? If he's lying, then tell me why we're still alive. He could have killed us all without a second thought. Noble 7, an ambitious noble. Perhaps this is an opportunity. If Rimuru is truly that powerful, aligning with him could bring unprecedented benefits to our kingdom. Noble 8, a loyalist. Do you think he'll forgive us so easily? We've angered him. He offered mercy, but I doubt it's genuine. Noble 9, a militaristic noble. Mercy. No, this is dominance. He wants us to grovel, to accept his superiority without question. Noble 10, a cynical noble. And what choice do we have? Resistance is futile. We'll be crushed like insects if we try. The room descended into chaos, arguments breaking out among the nobles as they tried to determine their next course of action. In the midst of the cacophony, Raisin and Rehimuth exchanged knowing looks. They understood one thing clearly. This was no longer a matter of pride or politics. Their kingdom's survival depended entirely on their submission to Rimuru Tempest.